Did you know that Nobara might be getting reverse curse technique? I mean, this seems to be the most popular theory in regards to Nobara, and even though I do agree, I will be talking briefly about her potentially getting reverse curse technique, but potentially with a twist, and more so with her as a character and potential her psyche coming back into the story. So first, let's go with what everybody agrees with, and is her and obviously learning reverse curse technique. Based on what she has been doing and the dialogue that we've inferred, she has brief moments where she has talked about understanding the soul and understanding more of curse energy. Similar to that with obviously the comparisons with Gojo in the fight against Toji. So there's a lot of assumptions to assume that she would get reverse curse technique and it would be a big part of her arsenal. However, there is some things in which I feel is a little weird and hasn't necessarily been addressed, and that's one thing: what will happen to her as her person and per se her technique, with the fact that Mahito destroys parts of the soul. We don't know how much of her is actually going to be gone from the damage from Mahito, and this is where I've gone with the twist, where she will be one of the only people to be able to prevent maybe idol transfugation through her understanding of soul, and could potentially be the key to unlock people such as Todo getting Boogie Woogie back, and potentially Unumaki and etc. getting their hand back. I think it could be another way in which the RCT works, and a piggyback on some people's ideas I've seen of her becoming kind of the straw doll herself. What makes her ability of Renaissance so great is the fact that she has elite level pain tolerance to be able to withstand such level damage. So for example, she could do something as making her the kind of straw doll to give her another versatility, meaning she can kind of use herself to leverage against the other people. I think it gives her another way of adding boost to her, and as well as with her understanding more of the curse energy from what we get the reverse curse technique, her overall stats would have seen a significant boost. So I think that is obviously and kind of in summary in terms of what the power boost will be. Now in terms of will she come back, I am of the regard that she will come back, and there's a lot of reasons why. We've seen Itadori die and come back. We've seen him on the brink of death and have many potential death moments. We've had parts where Megumi was in a suspended state of death and only saved by Sukuna. This is her premature death which will bring her back into the story, and I still think there's a lot of things for her in the story to come back. Leaving the question mark on whether she's alive or not ambiguous, would it make sense for me for her to finally die? The fact that if she had actually died, I would have preferred it that it had been said straight away and not wait into anticipation to find out whether she's alive or not. I think as if now, if we're waiting after all this time to then find out that Nobara was dead, it would feel as if what was the point, and it feels as if we have just made so much kind of emphasis on this plotline to then not bring her back. That is one. Two, in Jujutsu Kaisen, the argument that people like to use that she's been gone for so long so she can't come back. Yuji hasn't been back for about a year currently. There were periods of time we hadn't seen Maki for ages. We got to a whole part of this series where we only seen Yuta in the prequel until we seen him in Shibuya. So I think the usage of taking out characters isn't necessarily such a bad thing, because Gege does it all the time. I mean, our main character we haven't seen in a year, so I don't think that is a good argument to use. Moreover, I think Nanami was the main push for Yuji, and Nobara dying, especially after the quote that she said with her getting close to find the core of curse energy, I feel like it would be a waste of the potential growth of what's to come. Moreover, with the fact that we still are very unsure on whether reverse curse technique can be healed by idol transfugation, it can give us a potential plotline that is solved, especially as we know that Kenjaku also has idol transfugation now. She could be a key person who could end up countering something like that, and it could give us an indication to Nobara actually having a good part back in the story. We've seen somebody such as Maki, who wasn't explored as much as a character and has now become a key character during the part in the CUlling games and future events of the story. And I think with the way in which Nobara has a lot of way to come back in the story and impact it, I think it would be a good way for her to come back. Now, how do you guys feel with that? Do you want Nobara to come back, or do you not want Nobara to come back? Now, I do hope, and obviously we saw when Gojo came back with RCT, he seemed to become more delirious, and I remember even Toji asked if he was high. I think Nobara already, with her kind of insane mentality, I believe she could go to a whole new level of psycho which could draw out a lot of these curses. her already good understanding of soul, and with her ability of renaissance, I believe she can take it to a higher level, and upon more than just RCT, I believe she could get something such as a maximum technique that can utilize her ability to the fullest. I think more so than that, I think her dynamic back with the characters is going to be something interesting because she's been taken out of the story for such a long time. I think the dynamic in terms of each kind of our main characters have had some level of breaking point. I want to see how much this has affected her psyche towards furthermore left in the story and how she's going to grow as a character. I think these type of traumatic experiences have shaped something different in each of our main cast. We've got Itadori, who was broken and shown many ways of his trauma and etc. We've got Megumi, where every time he's backed into a corner he has his suicide mission in summoning Muhuraga. And now that we have Nobara, who's in premature death state, in a series where I believe she will probably come back with some new light and vengeance in a way that we might not see the same type of personality of Nobara that we have seen. We saw from the brief fight in obviously post Shibuya how much Itadori has changed from that conflict, and throughout the series we've seen how Megumi has changed as a character to become more trusting of his friends and etc. So I think now to see Nobara and back with her dynamic is going to be one of the more interesting things, and it speaks more volumes to why I believe Nobara is coming back to the story. Another interesting thing is we can get some more development with her and her origins. We know from the data book, Grandma is who she inherited the straw doll technique from, as well as she was the one who taught her all about Jujutsu sorcery and was her main teacher. At this moment in time, we haven't seen too much about her origins, and we also learn a lot of the stuff about she was the reason why she delayed her transfer into coming to Jujutsu High. So these are type of things which I think would not only expand upon her character, and even though we got that brief very flashback where we saw when she had passed away from the fight against Mahito, I believe these were kind of grains of things that will get more explored when we eventually get her comeback in the story. I do believe that there is just more for her to come back and do in the story, so I'm on the side that she will come back. However, if you do not agree, let me know down below why you think Nobara would not be coming back into the story. But thank you guys for watching, and obviously like, comment, share, subscribe.